laptops and your cell phones. This is Mark Rose, the founder of School Loop, and he's going to be speaking today. So if we can welcome him to class.
All right, we had a little video trouble at the beginning, but I had this creative slide up here. I was working on this for weeks. Actually, I just did it this night. And anyone know why I put this slide up here? What does this mean? How does this relate to entrepreneurialism? Any guesses? Yeah.
If a startup has potential, you're not really sure, so it's like this constant question.
That's cool. You thought about this. Actually, I just Googled images to keep people from getting bored, waiting to hear you speak. And this actually came up first. It was the very first one. So I said, that's not a very good image. So maybe there's a business opportunity here. Not. All right, let's go on. Thanks, though, for participating. All right. So this is, I was asked to speak here. I do this speaking a lot. This is my foolproof secrets to long life and all kinds of... Oh, I'm sorry, this is the free version. We have a freemium and a premium model, so I can only give you the, I can't do the crispy fries part, but we'll definitely talk about long life and success. So I want to give you a little bit of background on what's, anyone ever get School Loop in school? All right, there you go. Billy, 1, 2, you got it? Okay, great. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Lindbergh.
Lindbergh, all right. In Cupertino, or, I started School Loop in 2004. I was a high school teacher in San Jose, and I was mad as hell at my district because they shut my school down. So I started the software company. Back then we were using the hottest, coolest technology of the day, Yahoo Groups, right, to create this collaborative environment for my classes. And but actually, before that, let me go back a little bit in time. I had a 20-year career in magazine publishing and internet before I became a teacher. So I was in publishing for a long time. I used to publish Bow Hunter and Vegetarian Times, right? We had both, right? So you can imagine the editorial lunches. They were full of controversy. We did all kinds of cool stuff. And this was in the 80s, and around 93, 94, the internet came along. And I was working for a company called Kohl's Media Company. We published the Minneapolis Star Tribune, all these magazines and newspapers. And I was the only guy in the company with a computer. I had a laptop, right? So I was the internet guy by default. So I became the head of internet for this corporation. And I started this thing called the Nest, the New Economy Startup Team. It's called the New Economy back then. And I worked with all the operating leaders on building e-commerce models for their businesses. What really meant that no one knew what on earth I was doing. The corporate leadership had no idea. They gave me a $5 million VC budget to fund these things. And we tried to develop all kinds of cool applications in the mid-90s. And it didn't really work out that well. The platform wasn't there. The infrastructure wasn't there. The things you guys just take for granted really just didn't exist at all. So that died, and I was stuck in this job. And I met a guy named Chris Anderson who wanted to start a magazine about the internet. And so we moved to San Francisco. We moved to California, moved my family. I was living in New Jersey. And we started a magazine called Business 2.0. No one ever heard of that, right? Anyone? No? You heard it? Oh, hey, you'll heard of it. So we started this magazine in 1997. And Jeff Bezos gave it his name. This was back in the day when you could actually get guys like that to talk to you. He was on our advisory board, and anyway, we launched this magazine, and in 2 years, we were worth $2 billion, right? So we ended up going public. The magazine, its first year, we did $160 million in revenue. It just went straight through the roof, and it was an unbelievable time. We started with that magazine. We ended up, we were one of Europe's largest games and magazine publishing companies. We had this huge internet business, IGN, Internet Gaming Network. That was one of our products. Whoa. I ran internet worldwide. Yeah, exactly. Gaming, man. I figured, you know how you beat ISIS? You drop 50-inch televisions and PlayStations and Wii's, right? Because who wants to actually fight for real, right? Just give them bandwidth and large screen TVs. Man. I'm done. I don't want to do it. I got the computer. So anyway, we started this magazine. We had all this stuff, and in 2000. In the fall of 2000, just before this crash that happened, the internet crash, my grandma called from Florida, right? She's a grandma living in this little grandma, I call it the grandma ghetto, but whatever. Anyway, she calls, she goes, Mark, I just bought stock in AOL. I'm like, why'd you do that, Grandma? And she goes, yeah, all the grandmas are buying stock. So I called my partner and I said, I quit. And he's a Brady. He goes, are you fucking insane? And I was like, no, man, the grandmas are in. You ever heard the greater fool theory of stocks? It's basically the idea that when you buy a stock, there's got to be one person that's a bigger idiot than you. And all you need is that one person. But it's the same rule of poker, by the way. One idiot will buy. So I figured they're all in, man, if the grandmas in Florida are in. So I left the company and sold everything, and we crashed and burned. Our stock had gone from 15 pence to 15 pounds. And it went back down to 85 pence. So, I got really lucky and got out. And decided I wanted to do something meaningful with my life, so I became a poker player. Told you that. I played poker for 2 years in California, messing around, and then 911 happened, and I was getting bored anyway. My dad was calling me a cardiologist, right? It was like time to do something more meaningful with my life, and we got married in the World Trade Center. I was living in New York, right? There was a lot of affinity to what had happened, so I went back to college. You know what happens when you go to college when you're 40? You get straight A's. I couldn't even find a B. Like when I was an undergrad, when I was in real college, forget it. But when you're 40, it's like, oh, you just show up, right? And attend every class and work from 9 to 5, and you get straight A's. So I got straight A's in college, and I got out of school, and I got a teaching credential. I had to actually learn something to be a teacher. I wanted to teach after 911. And so I decided no one cared about social studies, right? So I became a social studies teacher because I didn't want to teach math or the things anyone actually paid attention to. And because I had this idea that the world is about collaboration and schools are about content, and I was going to bring this collaborative mindset to teaching high school. So I took a job in San Jose, which is an hour drive from my house, each way, right? Crazy. So we showed up, and one of my former students is here, who I taught, and I got in the classroom, and you know what I found out? Teaching's hard. Running a company is no-brainer. Teaching is like nobody. It's like you and 150 people depending on you every day and their parents, right? So I had this idea that basically kids need to know, I talked to this already tonight, students need to know 3 things. In fact, people need to know 3 things. You need to know where you stand, what you have to do, and how to do well. Right? Imagine a job or running a company where your people didn't know any of that, right? Didn't have a clue. Right? How would you do? How successful would you be? But kids don't know that. We just did a survey of 800,000 students, and we asked them 3 questions. How are you doing at school? Right? We asked them, think of your last big project. Did you know what to do and how to do well? Right? Well, the kids who said, I do fine, they knew I knew the assignments, I knew what to do, I knew how to do well. The kids who said, I could do better, 50% didn't even know what to do or how to do well. Right? So if we want to change education, why don't we fix that problem? Like something we can actually solve instead of impossible problems. This one is totally manageable. So I built a software company to do that. It's called School Loop. And because the other half of it was like sometimes no one here has kids, do they? All right, so I'll ask you the opposite question. When you came home from school like I did, and your mom or dad said, "What'd you do today? What'd you say?" Nothing. In fact, I was just in Vietnam. The government of Vietnam invited me over there to look at bringing School Loop to Vietnam. And I traveled around rural Vietnam in Da Nang with a bunch of NGO personnel and Vietnamese speakers. And in the middle of the countryside, I was talking to a bunch of teachers. And I asked them, do you have kids? When they come home from school, what do they say? Guess what they say? Nothing. It's universal. So anyway, we built a software company to try and solve that problem. It's called School Loop. I started it with a couple people, and today we serve 4,000 schools. We did about 2 billion page views last year. We serve 30% of California schools. We have 15 people. We do it all on a shoestring. It's a fantastic business for those of you who got it, and hopefully it helped you in school. And it basically solves the problem of making sure students know what to do, how to do well, and where they stand, and then also their parents and everyone else who actually cares about them also knows so that they can intervene. So what I want to talk to you about today, that's a little background on sort of the company and how we got here. And I thought about what to talk to you about. And what I decided, instead of talking about like building a company, I talk about something really important. So I want you to think for a second about these questions. Inside your family, consider your longest relationship you ever had. Right? The longest one. How'd you get into it? What made it work? How much longer did it last than it should have? Think about that for a minute. That doesn't have to be, it can be a friend, it can be whatever. Think about a relationship that's really important to you, and consider these sort of questions. Because I want to talk to you today about people. Right? Because people, it's the most important thing. I had this idea. I have a lot of ideas. I'm an idea guy. I had this idea because I was really annoyed because I lived in San Francisco. There was nowhere to park, so it was called Park in My Driveway, right? And the idea was that you would just rent out the space in front of your driveway to other people because I lived in the marina, right? There were lots of driveways, nowhere to park. And again, this is like in 2005 or whatever. So we launched this thing. A friend of mine is a guy named Thomas Dolby. He wrote the hit song "Blinding Me with Science." If you ever heard that, "Blinding Me with Science." Anyway, he wrote "Parking for the People." And I went to City Hall, I got City Hall permits and everything else. And then the city attorney sent me a letter and said, well, this is a brilliant idea, you're a genius. But if you do this, you'll have to pay every parking ticket everyone gets because you're inciting them to break the law. So that was the end of that company. But there was another idea that was very similar. Renting out your couch. You know what that's called? Airbnb, right? So I had Airbnb. Bullshit. I didn't have anything because I didn't implement it. So for all the brilliant ideas you have and everything you know, it doesn't mean anything at all if you can't make it happen. And you're going to make it happen all by yourself? You're going to do that all alone? No, you're going to have people. So I'm going to talk to you today about people and relationships. So anyone want to answer these questions? You don't have to answer all of them. Okay, I'll pick on you. Give me one. What kind of relationship, what's the longest one you've ever been in? You, yeah, you.
Okay, I'm in a relationship right now.
How long's it been?
4 years.
4 years?
4 years.
Different stages, but
Okay. How do you know you're changing stages?
we were friends and then...
Okay, all right, that's nice. All right. Anyone else? How about what made it work? What's a relationship that made it? You?
Me?
Yeah.
Communication.
Okay, that's interesting. That's a really important point. Yeah, that's a really, really hard. I've been married for 30 years, and I say, I'm going to take out the garbage, and my wife says, I said green, right? There's like 30 years of layer of communication going on there, and I have no idea what she means. But she does. Yeah, no, that's a critical point. I'm going to come back to that. All right. How much longer did it last than it should have? You.
Jeez. A few months.
Okay, a few months. It's hard to stop, right? It's hard to let go. It's hard to let go in companies too. So I'm going to explore these questions with you because it really matters. What do all these fantastic, super successful companies have in common? Of course, I put on there too. What do they have in common? They have one thing in common. Do it. What is it? Yes.
Money.
Okay, they definitely have money. They didn't start with money, though. None of them said, well, maybe some of them did. No, I don't think, no, sure. Hewlett Packard guys have a little bit of money. There's something else they have in common. Yeah? Yes?
Founders who wanted to fulfill a need, like they saw a problem and wanted to solve it.
That's for sure. But what's the first word you said?
Founders.
Zzz. Founders. 2. They're all partnerships. These were all founded by 2 people. Apple, Microsoft, Hewlett Packard, Google, Ben & Jerry's, and school. It's the only time it's ever going to be used in the context of this slide, so I had to do it. All these companies were founded by partners, right? Not individuals, right? And no matter what company you think of, there isn't a company, name a company where it's one person, right? Maybe there's one that's wildly successful. So I want to talk to you about how do you find a great partner? How many of you want to start a company? All right. How many of you have your partner already picked out, ready to go? All right, good. All right, cool. That's good. All right. Well, I'm going to pick on you guys now. That's good. It's the most important decision that you're going to make. right? It's the most important one you're going to make. And you all have to make it. There are very few, no matter who you are. I'm going to talk to you about some of my jobs and my partners, and then we're going to explore this issue some. No matter who you are, no matter what. Oh, actually, that's the end of the presentation because I didn't have the time to finish it. So, sorry, thanks. See you guys. No. Okay. Talk to you about 4 of my jobs. First one, because I learned stuff from each one with a partner. So the first one was my partner was the psycho who ran the cafeteria in college, right? Now this is a stretch. He wasn't really my partner. He was kind of my partner. He was the other guy on the other side of the tray machine. So we had a tray machine. They asked me basically, I don't know if you have this anymore. A cafeteria with trays, you get food, you walk around. I got a job, and the job was to unload the trays that came through the conveyor belt as they came through. And the job was pretty basic. You took the tray off the conveyor belt and put it into a rack. That was the job. I think it paid $4 an hour. But the problem was they were really, really hot. Right? So, you didn't want to hang on to them. And they had a rule. The rule was that all the gray trays had to go in this rack. And every other color went in this rack. Right? So we're following that rule, and it's hard because they come off in different sequences, and you got to do it. And after like a minute, I'm like, why are we doing this? A dumb rule, right? Why don't we just put them wherever we want? And the other guy, the psycho, was like, because he worked there his lifetime, his career, right? And he's like, no, we have to follow the rules. And I was like, no, man, no, this is idiotic. Why are we doing this? And he goes, you'll see. So we started doing it my way. And I got fired. I learned a lot from that. I learned a lesson that, that when you're in an organization, your vantage point of things, your perspective, the things you see, they may not make any sense. And if your leadership isn't any good, they won't explain to you the rationale in the whole scope of the enterprise, why what you're doing actually makes sense. Right? There's an important learning, not from this, because this was idiotic, right? But that actually observation is a really critical one. I worked in a newspaper company. We had thousands of employees. And the ability to run, to scale a small operation where you can communicate, because you're sitting next to the person, talk to them every day, to one where you have even 15 to 50 to 500 employees, and maintaining consistency of operation, shared values, the ability to help people understand how their work connects to the end. One of the things we do at School Loop is we have an exercise where everyone has to describe their job in terms of how they affect the end user. Every single job. That way we make sure everyone understands the importance of their job in the effect, the outcome on the outside. Because what happens in companies, and what will happen real fast, is people will turn inward. They'll face inward, and they'll start working for their departments or their groups instead of for the end user. So it's a really valuable lesson. Move forward. All right, Richard Desmond. So Richard Desmond was another Brit I worked for. We published International Musician and Recording World. This is one of the biggest scam rock and roll magazines ever. We had like no circulation. We were on 32nd Street and 5th Avenue. The only cool part about it was Andy Warhol. It was right up the street. So we used to see him all the time, and I pretended like I knew him, but I didn't. So Richard Desmond was this tough Brit. He ran this really tough magazine. He came over one day, and he goes, "Gross, what'd you do today?" I can't do a British accent. And I said, "Oh, I sold an ad." He goes, "What'd you get for it?" And I told him, and he goes, that's $50 less than the price." And I said, "Yeah, but I sold a $2,000 ad. I cut the price a little." He docked my pay $50, right? And you know what? At first I was outraged, and I thought about it, and I was like, he taught me a very important lesson, because I took $50 out of his pocket. How much profit is the last $50 on any sale? Finance majors. How much profit? Anyone? Make a sale of something, it costs $2,000. The last $50, when you cut that, how much profit are you cutting? Any guess? Do you know? No? Any business majors? $50. You lose 50. Basically the last dollar in is all profitability. So he taught me an important lesson that every dollar matters in a business, and it was a key learning. This guy Milt Gralla, he was my partner on another publishing operation, and he was brilliant at handling complaints. Anyone ever complained to a company? Yep. How's the experience? What happened?
It's awful. A lot
Yeah.
of customer service and bureaucracy.
Yeah. Anyone having good experience when they complain to a company? Yes, sure.
eBay. I complained that I got the wrong order and they exchanged it without charging any more money.
How do you feel about that?
I was fine about
Yeah.
it. Because there was no deadline.
Yeah.
They just-
You know, I had an umbrella. It's big. I've got a fire pit in my backyard, and I got this giant umbrella that hangs over it. It's killer. I was messing with it one day, and I think I was wasted. But anyway, it broke somehow, and I couldn't fix it. But it worked by hand. I could lift it and put it down. But I tried to call the company anyway, Frontgate, to ask them how to fix it. And they asked me a couple questions, and they said, "We'll send you a new one." I was like, "Are you kidding? It's like a $2,000 umbrella." They go, "Nah, we'll send you another one." So I tell that story over and over and over again, right? So Milt Gralla taught me how to handle complaints. His point was that most people pay no attention to you your whole life. They don't pay any attention to you, except when they're upset, right? That's very true of my kids, right? That's the moment where like we are communicating when they aren't happy. How you deal with customers, your partners, your staff, your employees, and so on, when they're upset, right, defines really the heart of that relationship. And it's true with any relationship. He had a process that I still to this day. This was in the late '80s. To this day, I taught all my staff this idea. What you do is you basically say to the person, "I understand you're very upset, and I'm sure it feels terrible. What I want to do is I want to listen carefully and write down what you're saying and repeat it back to you so I make sure I understand. Is that okay?" Right? And then, inevitably they'll say like, "All right," and then you go through that process, and then you would say to them, "Here's what I'm going to do. I can't promise you that I can resolve this, but what I can promise you is I will get back to you in 3 days, and I'm going to take these steps," right? And you'd always do that. And the invariable result was that even if you couldn't solve the problem, you built a relationship for life. And I got to tell you that concept is really, really powerful. You want to build a friend for life. When there's trouble, pay attention. Stop. Be in the moment. Right? Empathize with them, and really empathize. It's funny, you look at presidential elections. All I want is someone in an office with empathy and who understands history, right? I'll take anything else you can do, I don't care. But give me those two traits, Because if you can't empathize with your partner, if you can't empathize with your customers and with your staff, you will not be successful. You will not. Very difficult. Okay, Chris. So I mentioned Chris. We're the guy. We started Business 2.0 together, but I take way too much credit here. Right? Chris is a genius. So along the way, we bought this company. It was called TED. You're familiar with TED, right? So Chris runs TED. So TEDx, TED Talks, all that. He's a serial entrepreneur. He started 4 companies. I just happened to get in the way at the right time, and I was like, "Oh, this is a guy I want to hang out with." So we built this magazine thing together. We bought TED. Sold the company, I left, he now runs TED, I became a teacher, he's School Loop's biggest funder. So what I really learned from Chris is that Chris's genius is crystallizing a simple idea and sticking to it, right? Not pivoting, sticking, right? Sticking to your core thesis and making sure that what you do consistently supports that idea. I don't know how many of you, anyone here started a software company yet? Probably someone in here. Okay, you start a software company. What does it do?
It's called Bash. It allows you to hang out with friends. It's like a simple social app.
All right. So what was the central nugget? What was the core idea?
The core idea was to allow you to set up short-term hangouts with friends
Okay.
On the day-to-day.
So no matter what you do in the future, like I started this company based on the thesis I told you, right? Everything we do, right, is when you build a software company, all software is rules about how the universe works. It's code, right? It's a bunch of abstractions that say this is how things work. A company is just code. Right? An organization, it's all a bunch of rules and ideas and concepts. And that it's what Chris taught me is that if you're really, really clear on what those are and you stick to that and you stay focused on that, no matter what comes at you, you can have tremendous success. The other thing he taught me is that an obvious lesson, but it's that if you want to catch a wave, you better be in the ocean, not standing there on the beach with your board. So Business 2.0, TED, all these things. You know, magazines and business magazines about the internet existed before we started that. TED existed before we bought it. You ever hear of it before we bought it? No. But Chris had an idea about TED, and I feel honored to say we had an idea about business and the internet, but Chris kept it on beam. And again, when you start a company, you face tremendous adversity. It's like anyone ever climb El Capitan or any mountain climbers here? Like do significant climbing. You look at the people up there and you're like, they're insane, right? I mean, how do you even think to do that? And but that's like starting a company. You're basically climbing straight up. And the only way to do it is really to sort of go the first step and then say, oh, I got that far. I can go a little farther and a little farther and a little farther. And then after a while, you're like, man, I can't believe I got up this far. But the way you do it is by sticking again to your central core tenets and your core beliefs. The venture capitalists won't tell you that. They'll tell you to pivot. All right, so I'm going to get on to my last partner, and then we're going to do a little discussion on partnerships. So Tom Burns, Tom's my co-founder for School Loop. Guess how how did I find Tom? Anyone can guess? Craigslist. Craigslist is awesome. Yeah, I ran an ad for a sex slave and he responded. Actually, what happened was I knew I wanted to start School Loop, but I also knew that I wasn't an engineer. Right? I'm not an engineer. I'm a marketing guy, and I'm a product guy, and so on. But I'm not a software engineer. And so I had the brains. This is a really good. I'm going to give you a good idea here, right? If you want to hire someone that has skills that you don't have at all, don't understand them, what you do is you hire someone else to hire them, right? And then you hire the finalists, right? So hire someone else to do the skills, and you pick the person, right? So when it came to engineering, I had a buddy of mine who was a top engineer. And I was like, dude, I need to hire an engineer. I need you to interview all the people and tell me, who the best ones are, and then I'll pick the best human being, right? So he ran a bunch of ads and found a bunch of guys, and he said, here are some guys. Here's some finalists. These are guys you could hire, right? This little pile, right? And here's a guy that you could talk to, but you're never going to get him. His name's Hugo Vaughn, right? And here's this guy, Tom, forget about it. Don't even bother, right? So, of course, I'm like, well, I'm going to hire Tom. So, no, seriously, so I talked to these guys. I talked to Hugo. And Hugo had he was a brilliant engineer. He had an amazing life story. He was a Cambodian refugee from the Khmer Rouge, came over with nothing with his mom, ended up, this self-taught, I love that kind of life story of resilience and, and survival. And anyway, I worked with him. We built a business plan. We did all this stuff. And then I was like, okay, now I'm going to meet with Tom, right? Because I can't hire Tom anyway. So I meet with Tom, and we're talking. And I say, the critical thing. What's critical to you about developing software? And he goes, well, you have to start with the idea that everything you do is wrong, right? Because then you can go really, really fast. Because you don't have to worry because you're wrong anyway, right? And I was like, that's a brilliant idea. I love that. Because my motto on my email is, when all else fails, achieve immortality through spectacular error, right? So I was like, well, I got a connection with this guy. And the next level of connection was a philosophy about development, and about, in this case, we were building software. That was, today it's called Agile development. It didn't really exist. The process, anyone know what Agile development is? Basically, you move really, really quickly through a bunch of small steps, as opposed to making a massive software release that you do twice a year. He was all about moving fast and moving rapidly around a central idea, and I had the same philosophy, right? Because I didn't want to spend 2 years building something that would be obsolete by the time we got it out. And he also had a great sense of humor, right? He was, I wasn't looking for a wife here, but I was definitely looking for someone to hang out with for a long time. I got to tell you, the beer test matters, right? You're going to be hanging out with this person for a while, right? But there were other qualities that he had that I didn't have, in terms of how he thinks. I'm very emotional. He's extremely not. He's like the exact opposite, right? He's totally practical and practically minded. So when things, go crazy, right? And I mean, I sell on emotion, I recruit on emotion. It's very hard to build a company from nothing, right? I mean, I waltzed into these schools with Microsoft Word, a prototype built in Microsoft Word of this software program, and got schools to actually say, "Oh, we'll try that," to be an engineer, we only have more engineers die at Google every day than I have. Let's put it that way, right? They have more staff. The way Google changes their letters every day. That team is bigger than my whole company, right? Just focusing on what do we make it look like? When you're a really small organization, when you're a tiny company, right? You have to have the ability to stay calm when there are fires and when things are really, really going wrong. We had a problem last year. You know what denial of service attacks are? Anybody heard that term? Basically, people flood your website with traffic so much so that you can't handle it, you crash. But it's done in massive scale, so it brings down giant companies. Bring down Netflix last year for 2 days, right? And we have a lot of students. Most of them seem to like what we do, but some don't. They're not happy that parents are getting their grades, right? And they marshal these denial of service attacks. So we built up these defenses, and we hired a company to help us. Well, that company had a bug in their software that was so bad that I had to write to the CEO after it was all over, after we literally almost shut the company down. Literally. Because it just took us down. They took us down. Our protector. I had to write a letter to him, and I said, denial of service is preferable to your protection from it. But Tom remained calm through the whole thing and actually saved the day. So what I want to do is kind of focus on this question. We have a few more minutes, and I'm happy to answer questions. I'm going to focus on the question of how would you think about who would be a good partner for you? Again, assuming you're actually interested in starting a company. But this applies in a lot of things, right? Now, you wouldn't do this analysis again for a personal relationship, or you might. But if you're an engineer, this would be an approach. Having a methodical way of thinking about people is really critical. You probably will be in positions where you'll be hiring people for your team. You'll certainly be in positions where you'll be hired, right? And hiring is two-way. It's not one way. You choose to go work for that psycho in the cafeteria, right? And having a way of thinking about and evaluating sort of people, and also frankly, what do you think our batting average is with getting it right when we hire people? Any guesses?
0.281.
A little higher. It's about one out of four we have to let go. How fast do we do it? Like immediately. Because basically what I say to you is when we're going to hire you, it's like hiring someone is like getting married after 2 dates, right? You get married, and the person, both parties, what are they trying to do in that interview process? Trying to be totally honest and share all your faults and no, you're trying to deceive each other, right? So I always ask one of the questions: what am I going to learn about you that I don't know now, 3 months from now, so I can save time? It's very hard, and there's all kinds of interesting things going on right now. Has anyone ever gotten a job where you have to take a test? They put you through a battery of tests. Anyone ever had that? How was that? It was difficult. What company was it?
Striker Motor.
All right. What kind of tests were they?
Personality tests, and
Uh-huh.
then, also tests seeing how well I knew the equipment.
Right. Yeah. So it was both knowledge and sort of the ones where you want to be a sea captain or they ask you different kind of attributes. They're back in vogue. So for a while testing was sort of out of vogue, and then it came back in vogue, and then Google did these things where they had all these kind of lateral thinking tests, and what they found is they hired people who what they're really good at? The test. So they bailed. But now the latest thing is some kind of it's a morph on the personality test where they look to try to uncover different traits to make sure you're compatible with the company. I took one once. It was like half a day, and by the end I was like, I don't want to work for these guys, right? So the final one was an essay, and they showed a picture that showed a line drawing, and it was two androgynous characters at the end of a long table. And one was seated, and the other had their fist on pointing at the other one. You had to write an essay about what was happening. Right? So my essay started, "Damn it, Cedric, you glued my palm to the table again." I didn't get the job, but I really wanted to know how I did. Because I'm sure that person laughed, because no one else did that. Testing's actually very interesting, and I look at it more, we don't do it. We have our own process, which I'm happy to share with you. And I think it's pretty effective. So 1 out of 4 actually isn't bad when you consider that they leave too. Right? It's not just we fire them, people get other jobs, and it's a very, competing with Facebook, and we're right on Union Square, so right up the street, I got Twitter, I got everyone else, right? And they're gonna go work for School Loop, maybe, but it's tough, it's really competitive. So we have our own processes. I think the most interesting stuff I've seen on hiring really is about compatibility. It's more about compatibility than it is about aptitude and sort of straight personality. It's a company has a personality, and it's like my company. It's really a projection of me, because I'm the CEO and the founder. And I am really good at some stuff and really bad at others. And if we don't mesh, it isn't going to work, right? So being able to find that out early is really helpful. So, I thought we could just, we got a few more minutes. I thought we could have a little discussion on choosing the right partner. And I have a table up here. We don't have to fill this out or anything. But the idea is that it's yin and yang. You've got to complement the person, but you also have to supplement. You can't be exactly the same, right? If you don't have supplemental strengths, right, where one person is making up something the other person has, that the sum of the parts has to be greater. The whole has to be greater than the sum of the parts. And that with Tom, the example I gave, right, his practicality, his non-emotionality, in fact, he's an engineer, that helped, right? A brilliant engineer that can work and can build machines like this. We only have 2 systems engineers. We do this massive software system. He had all these traits where he really didn't overlap with my skills, and in other ways we shared things that were very important. What do you guys? I'm gonna ask you now. So you guys, tell us about your business partnership, and I'm assuming that's what you meant.
That is what we meant. Yeah. What would you like to know?
Well, just how did you? What's your business? Let's start with that.
Well, last week when we came to this class, we thought we were going to be millionaires. And
great day. Yeah, so essentially we were a social media optimization business-to-business company as per a meeting we had on Friday. And so we used different analytics that we stole from websites to give recommendations on social media and specifically linking influencers to companies.
Huh. All right. How'd you get that idea?
Yeah. It came out of an idea for a really, really interesting app that would have been a social nightmare. But we had a friend make one comment that made it a viable commercial reality.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Someone took an extension of what you were doing. So were you guys working together beforehand, or just?
We're just friends. Yeah.
You're just friends.
Just friends.
So are you now? So you've been. Are you still business? It sounds like, is this thing actually happening, or? It's a short halfway.
Yeah, it's still more in the idea phase, but.
All right. So do you think you'd be, in the 2 years, if you're working together, do you think you'd be successful together? And why?
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 What is it about your working relationship that you think would make you say yes?
I can keep this guy motivated and energetic and pitch him on any idea coming from the heart. He
so
can
you're saying he's not
execute.
motivated on his own?
No, he is, absolutely.
I'm
He's
kidding.
incredibly ambitious, but
All right.
he can execute like no other.
All right.
As far as like a sophomore in college, things seen this kid do over here,
That's great.
absolutely astounding.
Yeah. How about you?
I think more just like, since we're coming from a very good relationship, the fact that it's based on friendship and trust means that adding a business component wouldn't be what it's based on, but
Right.
something to add to it.
All right, so that was really good analysis. Let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff they said. What some of the key words that jumped out? Anyone have any input on what were some of the key criteria they said?
I actually have a
Friendship.
question.
Okay, friendship. Oh, good. Big
What
ones.
makes you guys unique? Like, what service do you have to offer that's unique from services that are already out there?
The
Oh, as far
company.
as the business?
Yeah.
Sure. It's not. So most of it comes from the fact that there isn't a great service to link influencers to companies at the moment, and then centering all of that around different analytics from open source companies like Clout, like Vine, etc. We'd be able to give not only the connection, but also a very good quantifiable reason as to why these influencers would affect this market that you are looking for.
All right, it's cool. You know what we should do is, when we get done, if you want to have more conversation about the actual business, I'd like to bring it back to sort of you mentioned friendship as one of the traits. Why do you think is that a quality you would look for in a business
Yeah,
partner?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the ability to be vulnerable with your partner, to be able to talk about anything, everything, the smallest thing on your mind to the
Yeah.
biggest thing, is so essential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. And it may evolve, so that's not true anymore, but it's hard to imagine in any of the cases that we mentioned, those guys weren't friends first, right? That there wasn't some bond of friendship in their relationship. You're going to go do this crazy thing together. You have to, you have to have some sort of affinity for the person. You may end up not being able to stand them, and that's true about a lot of relationships, but it has to start there. What else? They mentioned a couple other really important words. Trust, exactly. Trust. It's like number one, right? You have to trust people. Basically, I wake up every day, and if I think of you, I fire you. I mean, I hate to say that, but it means I'm worried about you. It means I don't trust, right? And in small organizations, it's like I liken our company to it's like the old forts you used to see in the cowboy and Indian movies, whatever, or the castles. They all had 4 walls, right? It was convenient, right? Small companies don't have 4 walls. You have 3 walls, right? And you move the walls around all the time. That's what ends up happening. And if you don't trust the other people in the organization, like completely, to the point where I don't have to worry at all about you in the slightest, right? And if I have to worry about you, you just can't be here anymore. Because, that 3rd wall, that 4th wall is the back. So how do you go about establishing trust? How do you build trust? How do you know you're going to trust? I ran the NLP list. How do you trust? Any thoughts on that? How do you know if you can trust somebody?
I think it comes with time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What else?
Just doing shit together.
All right, so real examples of work. But it's hard when you go hire somebody because you don't have that, right? So, thinking about outside of kind of the, con men are really good at building fake trust, right? That's the essence of con, right? And, being able to sort of trust your gut in interview situations. The biggest mistakes I've ever made with people are when I trusted my brain and not my instincts. Right? When I trusted sort of the resume, and I trusted sort of their experience, and I didn't trust whether I was worried at all. And at this point in my life, I'm now at the point where that thing I told you, where if I wake up and I think about you, I fire you, right? It sounds brutal, and it's not literally true, but it starts when I hire you, right? If I have any doubts at all at the very beginning of our relationship, I don't get in the relationship, right? You have to be really, really 100% committed. I don't know how companies do it that scale as fast as, Uber, right? Where you have to hire, 10,000 people in a year. I have no idea how you can manage that kind of consistency and maybe interview testing. But in most organizations, look, the only companies you hear about are the handful that are super duper successful, and then there's everyone else like us, right? We're successful, we're profitable, we've been running for 11 years. I have 400 school districts, including San Francisco, half of Sacramento, 700, basically 2/3 of Los Angeles, and so on. But you never heard of me. I'm not going to be on any, and most companies are like us, right? They're small to middle-sized. They're under 50 employees, right? A lot of them have under 10 employees. And this is kind of the reality. But you can carve out a very nice living doing this. But building trusting team is really critical. There's something else that they said that, actually I want to go back to what you said, communication. It's obvious you guys communicate well. You really like each other. Someone want to talk a little bit about communication? You. It's really, really hard to communicate. It's hard to get the right ideas across to people. Who thinks they're a great communicator? What makes you think that?
I don't know. I like to think I'm okay at it.
All right, we're gonna do a test.
All right.
All right. You don't have a shoe. Who's got some shoes? Who's got shoes and laces? Okay,
I got
for a
lace.
second. No lace? Oh, okay. Anyone got laces? I got laces. All right.
I'm a size 12.
All right. Now you're gonna explain to me how to tie my shoes.
Okay.
All right. All right. Here we go. Get up here. Everyone can see. All right.
I haven't tied shoes in a while. But what you're going to do is you're going to grab each end of the lace with each individual hand.
Okay.
And now you are going to bring one of the strings under the other one. And you're going
Let go.
Yeah. And you're going to bring that one at the bottom, your lower hand, you're going to bring it under the, you're going to bring it around and it's going to loop. No, okay, keep it down, put it down.
It's really hard. Good job. Any of you who've ever, tried, well, actually, modern technology makes it even harder because of autocorrect. It actually makes you think about what you say. But anyone ever send an email and someone get mad, or send a message, someone get mad and you don't understand why? Right? Because there's latent information in the message. It's very, very difficult to communicate effectively. And this isn't a conversation about communication. I was a communications. I'll give you one story from the class we taught about media and communication and so on, and how impacted we can be, even if we don't know it. And this was in, again, goes back a little ways. This is in, when were you, what was it, 2003. So this guy, Tom Ridge, was head of Homeland Security. And he was the first Homeland Security czar. And he started the system where he had red, yellow, and green. It was red, you had to be really scared. And yellow, you could just be sort of scared. And green, you didn't really have to be scared at all. And the idea became under a lot of ridicule. And the whole Homeland Security thing was questionable, and there were a lot of things. So Tom Ridge went on a PR tour. And he appeared on all the comedy shows, The Tonight Show and so on. And it was covered. And the New York Times and the San Francisco Chronicle covered the Tom Ridge on the same day, right? And the New York Times showed a picture of Tom Ridge sitting there with, I think it was Johnny Carson or Jay Leno, right? And they're yucking it up, and the headline was, Ridge gets the joke, and yeah. The Chronicle ran a story, and it showed a very stern Tom Ridge pointing with his finger like this, and it was like, Ridge hell-bent on, very, very negative piece. So I cut out both articles, and I divided the class in half. And one half got one article, and one half got the other, and I had them read them, and then they had a discussion about Tom Ridge. Well, what do you think the class who had the positive spin, what do you think they felt? Right? Yeah, that Tom Ridge is a good guy, that he gets the joke, and the other half felt that he was not a good guy and a bad guy. Then I had the students. Do you remember this? I had the students stand up. And I said, would you read the story? Let's read a little more of the story. So the student read the New York Times story, read the first paragraph. Then the other student from the other side read the first paragraph. It was exactly the same paragraph. In fact, the entire article was the same. The Chronicle had licensed the New York Times story, and all they did was change the photograph and the headline. That was it. Right? And those two things, with the same story, had a radical effect on attitudes and the ability to communicate very different ideas about a very important topic is radically affected by 5 words and a picture. And I'll never forget it. Someone in the class stood up and goes, "I'll never read a newspaper the same way again." But the point is that if you start a company and you're working, you have to be very careful about what you say and how you say it. Because it's amazing. Back in the days of the Soviet Union, they used to take photographs of Soviet leaders on the top of the Politburo, whatever the building was, watching the military parades. And because we didn't have any transparency, spies would render all sorts of judgments based on who was standing next to who. Right? It was the Kremlin Wall effect. If you were out of favor, if you were at the end, and so on. And we had a similar thing at Imagine, where we had Business 2.0, where I was an executive. I called it the chicken salad effect. It's basically whatever I had for lunch had ripple effects throughout the organization. And don't ask me why. If you're a leader in a company, people are going to pay attention to everything you do, what you wear, anything you do differently, things you think are lighthearted, off comments, people will cry. I don't know if you read about what's going on with Amazon, who'd want to work there? It's an incredibly challenging thing to communicate the right ideas, to keep people on beam, and to build trusting relationships in a small company as it is a big one. So anyway, hopefully you got something out of this, and we have time. Are we all done? Or are we done?
Yeah, we're having to cut you off, but
Okay.
we can all talk outside if
Okay,
anyone has
no big deal.
questions or anything.
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much. So Mark, Lily actually spoke a few weeks ago in class.
Oh, you did?
California Lavash.
All right.
So